The Trump administration leaned on African nations. The goal: get business for Elon Musk. The State Department has intervened on behalf of Musk's satellite internet company in 5 developing nations. In Gambia, U.S. diplomats have lobbied and browbeat at least 7 government ministers as part of a quote maximum pressure end quote campaign. Tyrone Bowman Live. Let's talk about this in an article written for ProPublica. So here we are. And ProPublica is a nonprofit newsroom that investigates abuses of power. Okay, according to ProPublica, in early February, Sharon Comer, U.S. ambassador to Gambia, went to visit one of the country's cabinet ministers at his agency's headquarters, above a partially abandoned strip mall off a dirt road. It had been 2 weeks since President Trump took office, and Cromer had pressuring business to discuss. She needed the minister to fall in line to help Elon Musk. Starlink, Musk's satellite internet company, had spent months trying to secure regulatory approval to sell internet access in the impoverished West African country. As head of Gambia's communications ministry, Lamin Jabi oversees the government's review of Starlink's license applications. Jababi had been slow to sign off, and the company had grown impatient. Now, the top U.S. government official in Gambia was in Jabi's office to intervene. Musk's Department of Government Efficiency loomed over the conversation. The administration had already begun freezing foreign aid projects. And early in the meeting, Cromer, a Biden appointee, said something that rattled Gambian officials in the room. She insisted the ways that the U.S. was supporting the country, according to 2 people present, and contemporaneous notes, noting that key initiatives, like one that funds a $25 million project to improve the electrical system, were currently under review. Jabi's top deputy, Hassan Jallo, told ProPublica he saw Cromer's message as a veiled threat. If Starlink doesn't get its license, the U.S. could cut off the desperately needed funds. Quote, the implication was that they were connected, end quote, Jallo said. In recent months, senior State Department officials in both Washington and Gambia have coordinated with Starlink executives to coax, lobby, and browbeat at least 7 Gambian government ministers. To help Musk, records and interviews show, one of those cabinet officials told ProPublica his government is under, quote, maximum pressure, end quote, to yield. In mid-March, Cromer escalated the campaign by writing to Gambia's president with an important request, quote, that day, a contentious D.C. meeting between Musk and employees and Jabi had ended in an impasse. She urged the president to circumvent Jabi and, quote, facilitate the necessary approvals for Starlink to commence operations, end quote. According to a copy of the letter obtained by ProPublica, Jabi told Confidence he felt the ambassador was trying to get him fired. So this is the president, and that's the ambassador to Gambia. I like to bring visual so people can, somewhat see. So the saga in Gambia is the starkest known example of the Trump administration wielding the U.S. government's foreign policy apparatus to advance the business interests of Musk, a top Trump advisor and the world's richest man. Since Trump's inauguration, the State Department has intervened on behalf of Starlink in Gambia and at least 4 other developing nations previously. Unreported records and interviews show. As the Trump administration has gutted foreign aid, U.S. diplomats have pressed government to fast-track licenses for Starlink and arranged conversations between company employees and foreign leaders. In cables, U.S. officials have said that for their foreign counterparts, helping Starlink is a chance to prove their commitment to good relations with the U.S. In one country last month, the U.S. Embassy bragged that Starlink's license was approved despite concerns it wasn't abiding by rules that its competitors had to follow. Quote, if this was done by another country, we would absolutely call this corruption, end quote, said Christopher Harrison, who served as a high-level department official in the George W. Bush administration, quote, because it is corruption, end quote. Helping U.S. businesses has long been part of the State Department's mission, but former ambassadors said they sought to do this by making the positive case for the benefits of U.S. investment when seeking details for U.S. companies. They said they took care to avoid the appearance of conflicts or leaving the impression that punitive measures were on the table. 10 current and former State Department officials said the recent drive was an alarming departure from standard diplomatic practice because of both the tactics used and the person who would benefit most from them. Quote, I honestly didn't think we were capable of doing this, one official told ProPublica. Quote, this is bad on every level. Kenneth Fairfax, a retired career diplomat who served as a U.S. ambassador to Kazakhstan, said, the global push for Musk could lead to the impression that the U.S. is engaging in a form of crony capitalism. Quote, close quote. Really? Let me put it this way. If Obama had done the same thing during his administration, what do you think would have happened? Just think about it. What do you think would happen if Obama had conducted himself in this way? The majority of rich people are not honest people anyway. They're corrupt, they're liars, they're thieves, murderers. They do all kinds of stuff in the name of getting money. But the one thing that they don't count on, you go answer to Almighty God on Judgment Day. Now let's get back to this article. The Washington Post previously reported that Secretary of State Marco Rubio has instructed U.S. diplomats to help Starlink so it can beat its Chinese and Russian competitors. Multiple countries, including India, have spewed up license approvals for Starlink to try to build goodwill in tariff negotiations with the Trump administration, the Post reported. ProPublica's reporting provides a detailed picture of what that push has looked like in practice. After Gambia's ambassador to the U.S. declined an interview about Starlink, a topic seen as highly sensitive given Musk's position, ProPublica reporters traveled to the capital, Banjul, to piece together the events. This account is based on internal State Department documents and interviews with dozens of current and former officials from both countries, most of whom requested anonymity for fear of retaliation. In response to detailed questions, the State Department issued a statement celebrating Starlink. Quote, Starlink is an American-made product that has been a game changer in helping remote areas around the world gain internet connectivity, end quote. The spokesperson wrote, quote, any patriotic American should want to see an American company's success on the global stage, especially over compromised Chinese competitors. Cromer and Starlink did not respond to requests for comment, nor did the Office of the President of Gambia. Jabi made Jallo available to discuss the situation. During the Biden administration, State Department officials worked with Starlink to help the company navigate bureaucracies abroad, but the agency's approach appears to have become significantly more aggressive and expansive since Trump's return to power, according to internal records and current and former government officials. Foreign leaders are acutely aware of Musk's unprecedented position in the government, which he has used to help rewrite U.S. foreign policy. After months, Musk spent at least $288 million on the 2024 election, Trump gave the billionaire a powerful post in the White House in mere months. Musk's team has directed the firing of thousands of federal workers, canceling billions of dollars in programs, and dismantled the U.S. Agency for International Development, which supported humanitarian projects around the world. African nations have been particularly hard hit by the cuts. Why can't Africa Well, there was this issue. Why can't Africa and African leaders become self-sufficient? I already know the reason why. At the same time, Musk continues to run Starlink and the rest of his corporate empire. In past administrations, government ethics lawyers carefully vetted potential conflicts of interests, though Trump once said that, quote, we won't let him get near, end quote, conflicts. The White House has also suggested Musk is responsible for policing himself. The billionaire has waved away criticisms of the arrangement, saying, quote, I'll recuse myself, quote, if conflicts arise. Quote, my companies are suffering because I'm in the government, Musk said. In a statement, the White House said, Musk has nothing to do with deals involving Starlink and that every administration official follows ethical guidelines. Quote, for the umpteenth time, President Trump will not tolerate any conflict of interest, spokesperson Harrison Field said in an email. Executives at Starlink have seized the moment to expand. An April State Department cable to DC obtained by ProPublica quoted a Starlink employee describing the company's approach to securing a license in Djibouti, a key U.S. ally in Africa that hosts an American military base. Quote, we're pushing from the top and the bottom to ram this through, end quote. Musk entered the White House at a pivotal moment for Starlink when the service launched in 2020. It had a novel approach to internet access rather than relying on underground cables or cell towers like traditional telecom companies. Starlink uses low-orbiting satellites that let it provide fast internet in places its competitors had struggled to reach. Expectations for the startup were sky high. Bullish Morgan Stanley analysis predicted that by 2040, Starlink would have up to 364 million subscribers worldwide, more than the current population of the US. Starlink quickly became a central pillar of Musk's fortune. His stake in Starlink's parent company, SpaceX, is estimated to be worth about $150 billion of his roughly $400 billion net worth. Although the company says its user base has grown to over 5 million people, it remains a bit player compared to the largest internet providers. And the satellite internet market is set to become more competitive as well-funded companies launch services modeled on Starlink. Jeff Bezos' Project Cupier, a unit of Amazon, has said it expects to start serving customers later this year. Satellite upstarts headquartered in Europe and China aren't far behind. They want to get as far and as fast as they can before Amazon Juniper gets online, said Chris O'Latry, a veteran space industry analyst. Internal cables, State Department officials have said they're eager to help Musk get ahead of foreign satellite companies. Securing licenses in the next 18 months is critical for Starlink due to the growing competition. One cable said last month, senior diplomats have written that they hope to give Musk's company, quote, first mover advantage. Africa represents a lucrative prize. Much of the continent lacks reliable internet. Success in Africa could mean dominating a market with the fastest growing population on Earth. So here's a photo of a technician as he mounts a Starlink satellite dish on a house in Niamey, Niger. Let's see if I can make that one a little bigger so you can see how they're doing it. Okay. As of last November, Starlink had reportedly launched in 15 of Africa's 54 countries, but it was beginning to spark a backlash. Last year, Cameroon and Namibia cracked down on Musk's company for allegedly operating in their countries illegally. In South Africa, where Starlink has so far failed to get a license, why? He's from South Africa. Musk exacerbated tensions by publicly accusing the government of anti-white racism. Since Trump won the re-election, at least 5 African countries have granted licenses to Starlink: the Democratic Republic of Congo, Somalia, Guinea-Bissau, Lesotho, and Chad. Now, Musk's campaign of cuts have given him leverage inside the State Department. A Trump administration memo that leaked to the press last month proposed closing 6 embassies in Africa. So after they get what they want, then they punish them. This is a lengthy article. I'm going to leave this article right here, and I'll pick it back up later on. I'm not going to read all this tonight. I know exactly where I left off at. There will be a part 2 to this article. But for now, thank you for watching. I see some comments in the comment section. Never surrender. Never quit.